Hello, and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm John, or Senstaku, as you might know me on Twitter, the executive producer here, and I just want to thank you for watching. It really means a lot to us that people watch, listen to, and enjoy our shows. If you want to help us keep making these shows as fun and lively as they can be, please join your fellow fans in supporting us at our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms or by subscribing to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/finalshowfilms. It really means a lot to us that the amount of you who do support us continue to do so, especially our $25 plus tier supporters on Patreon. Antitonic, Cat Waterflame, Samantha Bates, Maureen Monty, and Gravity Alexander. Every little bit helps, so thank you to all of our patrons and subs. Check us out on Twitter at Final Show Films and on our website at www.finalshowfilms.com for updates, go-live notifications, and more. We love interacting with you, so feel free to tweet at us or email us at finalshowfilms@gmail.com. That being said, please relax and enjoy.
Hello, everybody.
Did that camera get angled?
Yes, that camera got angled.
Okay, cool.
It is currently catching part of a chimney, though, and Santa's disembodied feet, so...
That's because Zach's leaning forward and blocking part of it.
He also has a very large hat,
That too.
but that's because he's Zachary.
That's because he has a very large head. It's like most of that hat is just head.
Alright, so...
It's like cone heads to the extreme.
Sorry about the extended stream intro length. I had to emergency find a stuffed manatee. Don't worry about it. And coming back to Untethered, Call of Cthulhu. When last we left, our heroes, investigators, whatever you want to call them, had discovered a book that details information that will be very useful to them. And they will be returning to the ship, where everything is safe and warm and nothing bad can happen to you anymore.
That's a lie.
It's home. Home is safe.
That's a lie.
It's a safe place.
That's
the
a
middle
lie.
of the universe.
I have not yet seen any safe place signs around this place.
Would you like me to print out some safe place signs?
Yes.
I don't know if that would make you feel more safe.
But they would be the 1990s Quick Trip safe place signs.
the guy abducting a child safe place signs.
All right. And joining us in our safe place, we have...
I'm John. I'm playing Galadriel Alunai, the astrophysicist and space wizard.
And the reason that they changed it to a house.
And on my middle right.
Hi, I'm Zach. I'm playing Yi Tarasu, the ship's counselor and general cripple.
On my far left.
Hi, I'm William, and I'm playing Goro Hozuki, member of the security team and the person who has many knives.
On my immediate right.
That would be the other security person. I'm Stan, I'm playing Duncan.
Would you say your knives are out?
On my far right.
Hey, I'm Rudy, I'm playing Kyle, and I will be figuring out how much of our adventure needs to be omitted from the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
You may just
You're going to have to do news journalist levels of editing and reconfiguring.
Man, I just heard the wrong thing. Okay, hi.
And on my middle left.
I'm Holly. I'm playing Sandra Rosen. She's an arborist. Rosen, I don't know.
Why
What?
do you smell like syrup?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just suddenly got a whiff of maple syrup.
Well, I went and bathed myself in it before I came downstairs.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay.
I mean, maple syrup is a delicious smell.
I have no idea. I was in Griffin's room.
I don't know,
Maybe it
just-
smells like maple syrup.
You coming down here just brought a whiff of maple syrup right into my nose. It was weird.
There's an apple cinnamon air freshener above that door.
I'm Holly, and I smell like maple syrup.
All right.
Are you secretly a wear-pancake?
There's a dog playing
Yes.
footsie with me underneath.
Don't eat me.
You're no longer secretly a wear-pancake, then.
Publicly aware pancake. Because
Bingo.
we're streaming
Yes.
to...
I came out as
public access wear pancakes.
Okay, not public access.
No, that's a bad idea.
Anyway.
So, Cthulhu.
Yes.
It's like public access television doesn't mean you go into the television station. It just means you have access to the view of it.
Moving on.
All right.
Is this our special holiday Cthulhu special?
Yes.
I hope not.
Any eldritch beings you meet will be wearing a Santa hat.
Awesome.
Excellent.
For no
Not that
reason.
you'll be able to tell because you'll go mad looking at them.
I mean, yes.
Because of the
I do.
Santa
I
hat.
do like the idea. I do like
But-
the idea. Very similar to
That's
Doctor Who, where like the Doctor Who Christmas special, where the plastic people were just like various like Santa mannequins.
Yes.
Right.
Like I do like the idea of the cosmic horror just coincidentally dressed like Santa.
As you go up, Tarn is wearing a Santa hat for no reason.
He would.
And it's blue.
It's red. I mean, he wears he
Yeah,
wears
black and red is his color, so you know.
Okay.
He shades the white to black.
Tarn is Santa.
There are Santa hats that have black fringe instead of white.
Santa.
Santa Tarn, delivering only the presents that are best. Santa Tarn is the person who puts like 3 live puppies and a plate of espresso-filled cookies for your child under the tree.
Also a tarp and razor blade for the parents.
I mean, yes. All right, so you are on
cigarettes.
the surface of the ship, the surface of the planet. I mean, the surface of the eldritch being, as it
Yes.
were.
The surface of Creator.
Yes. Who has so far not seemed to complain to you about the fact that you're, standing on top of him.
I swear, every time we call him Krator, I think of Crater. Like, I think he's just a hole.
Yeah, well, I mean that's Blame Austin.
Yeah. I never said I was good at names. It's always been my failing, among other things. But we'll add it to the list.
Not good at remembering names.
Austin does that thing where he like looks around and takes cues from the environment.
It's like, and his name is Lampy. It's a very bright individual.
So like you're hearing stories of this ancient tale of heroes and villains. Oh, what's it called? It's the legend of Zelda.
Takes place in Neverland.
How I'm going to avoid the Hyrulean map? Neverland. Shoot. All right. So you've prepped the locals. They're all getting ready. They're getting everything that matters to them, which isn't a ton. You've got most of the provisions you need on the ship.
Yep.
Did you hear footsteps?
Yes.
I blame cats.
Couldn't remember if I locked the door to our child's room.
That's a good thing to not remember.
Griffin will make himself known if he's
Yeah, no,
free in the
we'll
house.
come downstairs.
You just feel a tug on your elbow.
Yeah.
The locals are prepped and ready, and into view comes one of the large ships. It's one of the ships that none of you have interacted with because you wouldn't have a reason to. None of you are engineers. And it is basically a flying barracks. It measures a good 300 meters long and takes up, any of you who know the ship schematics, which would be your 2 security individuals, takes up 2 decks on the ship entirely by itself. It will easily hold everybody down here.
And the animals?
And the animals. You also see flying above several skimmers, which are small shuttles akin to yours that have giant sails on the side of them to gather resources. Seem to be sucking up aspects of the atmosphere. And hopefully filtering out the
They were warned.
unique gases. As the ship comes down, Brian O'Card himself lowers the runway in, of course, helmet and all, and greets you.
I got my helmet on.
Yes, you put your helmet back on. You
Don't want to freak out too many people.
Yeah.
specifically, I believe you put on Wynn's helmet.
Yes.
No, I put on one of the spare ones that we had in the ship.
Right, you put on the spare one. You had Wynn's helmet on?
I had the full spacesuit
You
on.
had the full spacesuit on.
No,
He had Wynn's helmet on earlier, but
No,
he-
that's it. You had to
He
put
changed
Wynn's
it
helmet
out.
on because your helmet got shattered.
Oh, I took a
Yeah, 'cause you got shot in the head.
Yeah, I had to use that.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
replacement for a while.
So your helmet is got a red insignia on it
Right.
for science team.
Oops.
We're gonna see if
I can fake it.
we're gonna see if Brian notices that.
I turned my head so I can't see the colors.
I didn't know that turning made people colorblind.
If you turn at the right speed,
It
Doppler
becomes
shift.
a red blur Doppler shift. All right, I would
Turn
like
your head so fast you blue shift your helmet.
I would
In
like
the
you
process, you snap your neck. But good attempt. A for effort.
like you to roll me your physics check to know how fast you're going to have to turn your head to Doppler it out of redness.
Taylor came up with that number a few months ago, and I can't remember what it was, but
Turn blue shift.
That was red.
Approaching the
That was
remember
red
red
to
to green.
So you won't get it right.
I just want to see what you roll at this point.
You want to see what I roll, just for the fun of it? Okay, 72. No, 27.
Cool. Neither of those were the right number.
Good.
The correct number would be
1.
Yeah, one.
The correct number would be ask the physicist.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then you could be like, I mean, it's this number, but good luck.
Approaching the speed of light is what it
No, I
is.
just gotta try.
Yeah. Brian walks down. All right. So these are all of our new guests, I take it. He says, looking out over the group of about 100 people.
Yes.
I'm going to really
just
quickly
Williams.
try to pull a
Rabbit out of your hat.
psychoanalysis or psychology check to try to see if he can also see all of this, and if not, if he's just kind of playing along with any insanity we might have. Just
All
being
right.
paranoid.
But you're going to be rolling it at 5th because he's wearing a reflective helmet.
Oh.
How do we know it was him then?
Hmm?
How do we know it was him then?
Oh, because he has the gold insignia of ranking officer and an Irish accent.
Oh, okay. I'm walking.
Right with the Irish accent.
There's literally 2 people there. No.
23
Sorry.
of 19.
Yeah, there are currently 2 people on the ship with an Irish accent because his parents are dead.
I'm walking over to him, by the way, to Beacon proceed.
What did you get?
23 of 19.
Cool. You can see his face roughly through it, but you don't get any good details. So,
Okay.
Yes. Them, the livestock, and the food.
I presume he says, walking up to Sandra, that the food has been checked over.
We did, right? Did
Yeah,
we check
We
the-
ate some of it.
You did a composition. We did a composition on it. It doesn't.
Of
It
course,
seems
we'll have to
normal.
have Mr. Letter and Commander Thrush take a look over everything brought on board to make sure that we're not introducing any sort of new viruses or bacteria.
Obviously.
Are we
and-
equipped for animals?
Sure.
We can figure it out, as long as no one leaks it to the rest of the fleet, but that should be fine given that the captain and I are in charge of talking to the rest of the fleet, and we won't say it, so none of you are going to have a chance to.
This one's a cat. I like this one.
I can see that. Well, and the bad news, all of you are going to be in quarantine for at least a couple of days while everything gets checked out. Need to make sure you
Make sure
haven't
there's
picked
no
anything up.
contamination of any of
Standard
this.
protocol, man.
Sure.
Exactly. During that time, you will be again in the charge of Commander Thrush and Mr. Letter.
I would I probably would have known this was going to happen. And probably would have informed the populace that they're going to be in quarantine.
You would have
Yeah.
had a logical guess.
Yeah.
Right. But we'll be staying with them, so yeah.
All right.
Let's get off this rock, shall we?
So, I presume there is a leader among the people.
Yes.
Solace
Solace.
steps forward, and Garjan steps beside her.
Yeah.
I represent the will of these people, she says. And this would be
That's the security construct. I
Guardian.
told you about.
Garjan.
Yes.
Pleasure to meet you, says Brian.
He doesn't talk.
Never hurts to be polite. He begins then walking with Solus among the people, talking to them, sort of getting a gauge, helping people get loaded on board.
If you could do something about the reflectiveness of your helmet, it'd probably help, Card.
Well, you've all got the same. Like when you're up close and immediate, like when you're looking in face to face, it's not hard. It's just hard at angles to catch.
Oh, I thought you indicated his as particular reflective.
No. It's coming out of a ship at a distance.
Okay, never mind then.
When he's addressing the group of people.
I was like, the way it was called out, it felt like it was particularly reflective.
It's darker inside the helmet than outside, so it's sort of like looking through a mirror when it's dark out, like looking through a window when it's dark outside. When you're looking straight at something, you can see it. At angles, it
Gotcha.
it becomes hard. The ship actually has a bay that your shuttle will fit into.
No, that works.
So you can.
Well,
know how to
have a pilot moving in or something.
Well, you can just go on board and get a. They have like little vehicles that can come out and yank it up.
I will
like
coordinate. I will coordinate other people to do that.
Gora would be the one to drive it because she.
Gora
is capable of driving these things.
I will coordinate Gora to do that.
That's a security type thing.
Yeah.
You do notice that, unlike the rest of you, also Brian O'Card is in full airtight spacesuit.
Yeah.
You would immediately guess to avoid chains of contamination.
Yeah. Makes sense.
What's wrong with them?
Oh,
they're investigating each other.
Oh, okay.
Fox is trying to get by Pixie, and Pixie's
Being stubborn.
Pixie's being oblivious might be more accurate. Anyway, so you get everything loaded up. There's a bit of manual labor getting things loaded on. A lot of the wildlife here is a little freaked out by the ship, but they're able to herd them on. And Garjan goes and first thing he does, walks on the ship, stands there, as he seems wont to do.
So I'm just gonna assist with it.
Is he standing in the way, or is he just standing off to the side?
Standing in the cockpit. He has gone right for the main control panel. He's just standing in front of it, staring at it.
I'm gonna head to ours or to the big one.
The big one.
So I'm gonna follow after him so that I can tell anybody in the cockpit who it is, and so they don't freak out about this random person.
There's a pilot who's looked up at it, but he puts his hand to his ear. You're guessing that Brian is giving him a quick brief.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure that no hostile actions occur in the vicinity of Garjan.
Yeah.
And we don't lose the ship.
He doesn't have his weapon right now.
He doesn't.
Probably completely harmless.
That's a lie.
Anyway, so you're babysitting to make sure that Garjan doesn't go crazy. You're helping load livestock.
Also writing in my journal quick.
Gora, you're driving the ship driving the tow truck to pull the ship on.
Encouraging them to leave the rabbits.
Why? Don't like the rabbits?
Roll me a biology roll.
24 of 78.
You can come up with a plausible list of danger of parasite or stuff.
I was also thinking they breed at an extremely rapid rate.
But they're edible.
They would take over the ship.
Okay.
Like tribbles.
People you're talking to, you're trying to convince Brian, who has never seen an animal in his life, and is good at physics, decent at chemistry, doesn't know a whole lot about biology. It's not a hard sell.
Okay. But the cats come. I like the cats.
What you doing, Kyle?
Probably just taking down more notes, final notes on just our final moments there on the giant rock.
All right. Yee.
So,
Hold on one second. Let me roll something, actually.
Oh no.
That's never good.
Maybe this is the exception. Maybe this is the time that it is good. Maybe.
Keep thinking.
Okay, cool. No, you're good. What you doing?
So you claim. So you claim. I'm going to... How properly have I managed to heal up my arm and everything?
It's functional, not optimal.
I want to try to get back on the ship and try and patch myself up a little bit better.
Make me a medicine check.
I will extend that offer to Duncan as well.
You gonna go with him today?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. with
All right, for yourself at half. For Duncan, you can use your full medicine.
That would be a 25 of 30 for me.
Cool.
Ah, 65 of 61 for Duncan, though.
Ouch.
You want to spend 4 luck?
My luck is kind of waning. And we're going to meet up with Tarn soon enough anyway. I'll trust him to do a decent job of
Trust
that.
hard to patch up. I mean, to be fair.
You recover 2 hit points. You're working on Duncan, but you don't have a lot of time.
I mean,
and
yeah.
this is a
Tarn
much.
doing his job. What's the worst that could possibly happen? Duncan gets like a giant, crazy eldritch tentacle limb, and that would just be awesome.
It's okay. If Tarn kills Duncan, he'll just pop back into the world. In the way, anyway. So
Assuming Tarn isn't an Ethelward.
Tarn's not an
we know
ethical
Tarn's not an Ethelward.
He's just weird.
We know Tarn's not an Ethelward.
Tarn is just Tarn.
Assuming Tarn
It's
doesn't
his
have,
own
you know,
entity.
specific, untethered, killing scalpels.
I mean, we don't know. We have no evidence that that is the case, so we
Yeah.
cannot assume that it is.
yeah, I'll trust him to be fine with that. It's not a sufficiently amusing way to kill someone, so he probably wouldn't do
And
it.
if that is the case, we'll find out
We'll
by
find
him
out.
killing
Exactly.
Duncan.
All right.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Guinea
You can
pig
help us in
Duncan.
the pursuit of science.
All right. Ship gets loaded up. The people all get on board. They seem fascinated by the machinery here, but I mean they were fascinated by the shuttle, so nothing overly elaborate. Kill him. Everyone gets loaded up. Ship gets closed up. Lifts off, and within about 30 minutes, you are out of the atmosphere and going to dock in the SS Selkie.
While we're in transit, I'd like to open up a private channel to Card and just... Card, what are the odds that you can teach me to fly one of these? Like, fly anything relatively quickly? Because I feel like... Just call me crazy, but I don't think we're done here.
I mean, I could give you a crash course.
Crash.
Emphasis on the crash. But, you know, just
Get a
having the
centaur
capacity
teach
to
you, yeah.
pilot something if it comes to it seems like it might be relevant.
If we can get away.
Well, we've got a very large ship and not all of it's occupied right now.
Yeah, but you're going to be under quarantine for a while.
Yeah, but we have until, for now, we have until we get to dock.
I'm gonna need longer than that.
Yeah. Well, we'll be in quarantine for a bit, and Dr. Letter is going to be the one overseeing things.
I'm going to be getting out of that quarantine area as quickly as possible, and once I do, I'm not going to be able to get back in.
Well, so you're after quarantine then, assuming everyone isn't dead by then.
Well, I imagine the people at most risk are the people who are in quarantine.
The problem is the people that are in the quarantine are the untethered, and you know how this goes.
Right. Okay.
So, be safe.
Always am. Docking up is a maneuver and a half, because you've got a moving ship that is docking in a ship that it is a third the length of.
Yeah.
But it pulls in, and thankfully, There is a decontamination quarantine on this area.
Once we leave the planet's atmosphere, how do our tethers feel?
You haven't tried.
Just sort of.
You gonna give it a little pull?
Yeah.
It still feels sort of muted for some reason.
Yeah. So over the private channel to the Untethered. Yeah, we're not done here because our tethers still aren't free. Or at least mine isn't. I don't know about the rest of you.
I check mine.
Yeah, you feel it feels muted. You can feel it like you did on the planet, but you can't quite pull on it. It just you can definitely feel it.
Check your diamond.
Yeah, I'll check my diamond. Any reception?
It warms up, but you're not getting anyone. So again, unlike the planet, it was just dead. Now it's warming, but you're not getting anything.
Yes. There's more signal, but there's no one on the other end.
Something blocking communications or maintaining
So we're not done here yet.
something preventing us from bouncing back, which is also for communication, probably the same thing. Probably something related to the Ethemors.
So wait, can we not communicate with between worlds?
Apparently not.
Yeah, my diamond's not working, and as far as we can tell, our tethers aren't either.
Sandra's gonna try.
You get the same sort of muted. It's there, but you just can't pull on it.
Based on everything that I've been studying, does that seem like it might be connected to the Ethemors?
So as far as you can tell from the book, these gases make it inert, and that's why you couldn't feel it at all. Roll a cult.
21 out of 54.
All right. So you're not sure if it's a lingering numbness. The way the book talked about starving out these creatures, it could be that spending time in there numbs your connection, and so coming out of it, it'll take a couple days. Sort of like a limb waking back up after it falls asleep. That would be your primary hypothesis. Or the other possibility is that there is... The other possibility would have to be there is something entirely separate that is basically causing a hard cut, which is why you can feel it but can't get through it. Almost like a phone line, you know. Your phone's working, but the whatever you're sending your signal to is not receiving.
What was the gas again? It was fairy something?
It was
Fairy
some
dust?
sort of fairy dust
Fairy dust?
from the wood.
And did it indicate that it was two separate kinds of fairy dust, or the same kind of fairy dust made both gases?
As far as you can tell, it seems to be two separate kinds.
Did the book indicate what kinds, or just that it was fairy dust?
That it was two separate kinds.
Okay.
It didn't indicate anything specific, but you do recall when you were being shown the pools, Aaron had a yellow bronzish ring on a stick he was using to reveal what was in the pool. No, sorry, he had a green ring on a stick that he was using to reveal what was in the pools.
Okay.
That may be made of a similar material.
So Aaron might be able to help us with the consolidation of the fairy dust. Maybe.
Well, he said he'd found it.
Oh, he found it?
And that it seemed to have some interaction with the pools.
Right. Okay. So that's very likely a condition of the gases that we are interacting with. They make ethemors inert, so it's very possible that it's also interacting with our ability to connect back to the wood. So give it a few days, and we'll see if it's still weak. And if it is after a few days, then something is keeping us here. And if after a few days it's back, then it was just the gas. Which is a testament to its power, that it's able to lock us into a world like that, in addition to keeping ethemors asleep. Made from fairy dust, from the wood, two different kinds. Now that I'm thinking of it, first remember that
Does anybody else remember that green ring that Arn had on his stick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember any, like, bronzy orange physical items from in the woods?
So Sandra spent some more time in the wood, and you would have seen he had other rings. He had other like yellow bronzish rings, and he didn't know what they did.
He had some.
Did he?
He had some yellow. Yeah, I spent some time with him. He had some yellow bronzish ones. He didn't know what they did though.
He said he found them taped to a hedgehog.
He found them
Oh, that's-
taped to a hedgehog.
Yes.
Yes, because some loony old magician
Austin.
sent them through.
What?
I just sorry.
You just figured that
I
out?
just got that. Yeah.
Was the hedgehog blue?
No.
No, that's not
no,
it.
this is
No,
not
I-
it. It's actually
Okay.
from.
No, yeah. I've also read that.
Okay.
But I was.
But hedgehogs and rings, Sonic
It
the
should
Hedgehog.
be.
Oh no,
It
I
should
was
be,
thinking
yeah.
Sonic.
No, it's not
Okay.
Sonic.
Nope.
It's
No,
It's
there's
actually in
there's-
the book.
It's reference to the book as well, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyways. So those might be fairy dust compressed into rings.
Because we're playing a giant campaign that, when it boils down to it, is basically a massive Chronicles of Narnia fan fiction.
Look, man, I like Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, so it's entirely possible those rings are compressed fairy dust, and if Arn found them, then somebody somewhere knows how to manipulate fairy dust into objects other than what's her name?
Irana.
Arana. Unless Arana is leaving them rings taped to hedgehogs, which seems
Who's
unlikely.
Anna? Sorry, refresh me.
The
Irana
good
is
Ethivore.
the Ethivore who lives off of people around her being hopeful.
She was the one who originally made the Wood Between the Worlds Ethivore resistant, or negative emotion resistant.
And you're not sure how much of it was negative emotion resistant because she's a positive emotion and she's also been shunted out of it by her own admission.
Both.
But there's a level of.
Yeah, it's Ethivore resistant. And Arana isn't necessarily the good Ethivore. Arana is the Ethivore of hope.
Yeah, she feeds off of. She's the only Ethivore that you've encountered who feeds off of a distinctly positive emotion.
But not necessarily the only one that does.
Not necessarily the only one it does. And you've heard of a couple Ethivores who feed off of more neutral emotions that aren't necessarily destructive.
Yeah.
It seems that, as far as you can tell, the majority of Ethivores, or at least the Ethivores who get the most notice, are ones who do feed off of destructive.
Which, at least in
Emotions.
my mind, makes sense because the ones that feed off of positive emotions would be easier to hide. Because they don't.
Yeah, you don't have to.
They don't make a
They
scene
don't.
of
They don't make a.
themselves.
Yeah, they don't. You don't have to. You don't have to raise a world to the ground if you feed off of people's.
Yeah, you
know,
can
love for each other.
subsist
or-
in an orphanage, helping
Yeah.
orphans, or work in a hospital.
There's any number. There's much more easy ways to go unnoticed.
You don't have
if you
to
feed off of other emotions.
massacre worlds. And the neutral ones could also get by a bit more easily because, again, if the world's gone mad around you, there's always going to be people who have gone mad. It's not going to destroy the world.
Spend time in an asylum. Work as an asylum worker.
Or in Congress.
Yeah, just work in politics.
Anyways.
But yes. So, it takes some time. You get in. And as you're on the ship, you see, waiting for you.
Really quick. Recalling the rings, did they have any markings on them? The one on the staff? Or was it just solid green?
You didn't investigate it thoroughly, but it looked like a plain, basic band. You saw the green one, which was an oddly bright and matte green. It looked much more plasticky than metallic.
Perfectly generic object, ring formation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're presuming that it was made by somebody who was not attempting to make anything aesthetically pleasing, simply a functional, this is an item to be worn that's going to do something in regards to the wood.
Yeah.
So you, as you pull in, you see a pair of individuals who are, rather than wearing spacesuits, are wearing basically hazardous suits. The contaminating.
Yeah, hazard
suits. They're the anti-contamination suits.
No.
And you can make logical guess. As you pull in, Brian turns to look at everyone in the ship. All right, and this is where I leave you. Dr. Letter will be more than happy to answer your questions. Commander Thrush, I promise, he comes off as a little odd, but he knows what he's talking about.
Do we get espresso in quarantine?
Espresso.
That too.
Thankfully, this ship was designed to work as a living quarters. So this lower level is, the upper level is barracks, and this lower level does have everything that you will need for housing for the next 2 days. Complete with kitchen and, yes, coffee.
Okay.
Now, I have to retort back to the bridge, and I expect, by the time you're off, I expect to have a full report, both an official one and something to give out to the rest of the ship.
Can do.
All right?
Curious to read that.
Just a black bar.
There are data pads down here.
Oh, name.
Oh yeah, you have full. I mean, as he walks off, the ship opens. This is mostly just a dock with moving equipment around, but the panel. This ship has full access to the communication with the rest of the ship. Anything you could access from the rest of the ship, you can pretty much access here. The only exception are going to be. Technically, you could recharge your railers that you have, but there aren't any more weapons.
So looking at Tarn,
Recharge
and,
railers. Definitely doing that.
Start doing that, yes.
looking at Tarn and Thrush, could we get these people settled in before we begin any testing that needs to be done, or do we need to do that immediately?
I suppose it wouldn't hurt to get them settled, and Commander Thrush cuts in. No, it's very important that we get everything set up perfectly. We need to make sure that all the arrangements are set up correctly, and that everyone's biological needs are properly cared for, and, yes, animals. Right, interesting specimens will have to determine their genetics and make sure they're not going to decrease the genetic perfection that we have achieved here on this ship, and that they're not going to interfere with the
Dr.
rules.
Thrush, do you want to deal with the animals while we get the humans set up?
Yes, let me see.
Question out of.
Yes.
Was Thrush her boss?
Yes, Thrush is
Okay.
your boss.
Right, your
Okay.
OCD boss.
Your CD
Yes.
boss.
Okay.
Who I have just distracted with animals so we
It's
can get
been a
the
while
people
since
settled.
we've been on the ship. I'm just trying to remember names.
Trying to remember
Um,
what your position was.
So,
It's been weeks.
You get yourself somewhere to take to get some medical. Tarn, if you could, and I'll point to you, who's
Ah.
very visibly still in.
Yes, yes.
Sandra will
managed to-
stay with the animals and Dr. Thrush.
Sandra, if you could please corral your boss.
Yeah.
Keep me busy.
Gora and Duncan, if you could please help these people get into rooms, get them comfortable,
Yeah,
get them set
right.
up.
That was the main, yeah,
Um,
I was going to do.
Before we do get people
Crowd
into
control.
rooms, I will need simply everybody to walk through the medical bay, a very brief scan. I want to make sure that if you're settling into a room, that not only that the room won't pick up any bacteria or viruses, but more importantly that we on the ship, having lived separated from your kind for 570 years, have not developed any variations that might wipe out an indigenous population. We would hate to have you catch smallpox from our blankets.
So,
Avoiding forward contamination.
Gora and
Makes sense.
Duncan, coordinate.
Yes, the medical bay is back here. He begins walking over to the medical bay and pulls up a scanner.
And then,
Duncan, Junior Lieutenant Torosu, two of you are injured. If you would just rest in the medical bay, don't exert yourselves.
Of course.
and
Gora is perfectly capable at signaling the human.
Gora just kind of looks at him and just slow smirk and shake of the head.
Yes. And you're helping with the animals.
She's helping with the animals. I'm just going to go through so I can start working on my report.
Cool. You immediately go to data pads. And
Yeah.
You know, it is a little fitting. Finally working on patients who existed around the same time as your tools.
They're not that old, as soon as I go out.
Actually.
Because these are the more recent generations.
Yes, but they're familiar with that degree of medical ability. I mean, plus or minus some magic here and there, but still, general idea.
you know, superstitious people might be very familiar with that sort of stuff.
Goro will wave all of the newcomers through the med bay.
Tarn quickly begins scanning people, and as he does so, is taking down some information of different kinds. And it takes he takes about 5 people in first and scans them fairly extensively, and after that time, he walks over to a chemical synthesizer and inputs some stuff and fills up a couple vials with a chemical and begins injecting them in the arm with something as they go up.
Medicine check to follow what he's doing?
Sure, medicine at half. He's doing everything very fast.
Am I getting injected with any of this when I go through?
No, it's just the native population.
24 or 30.
All right. So the first thing he did was he took samples of their blood and to check their immune systems, and he was just spent 10 minutes running databases of the most common viruses and bacteria that their immune systems would not be capable of, and essentially created an immune system booster. To be able to work at the speed he's doing is absurd, but everything he's doing is fairly sound practice. You do notice he's also including he slipped in a mild sedative to this immune booster / vaccine.
What kind of sedative?
It's something that will basically make you sleep more. Imagine that the sedative will wear off in about 24 hours.
Is it similar to the kind of stuff that he gave to me in the big syringe?
No.
Or
Your stuff was more suppressant. Things to suppress chemicals and reactions and stuff going on. This is just a straight, these people are going to sleep a lot in the next 24 hours.
okay.
And it will slow down a lot of bodily functions.
There's a sound medical reason for that, which is keeping them from stressing themselves out too much.
Also, from a medical reason, if it
suspicious.
slows them down a little bit, it might help the vaccine.
Resting, yeah.
There's sound medical reasoning to it, but still something to know. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's not. It's not something that would be typical general practice, but you can see that there would be a reason to do it.
He's not, putting any vials with skulls and crossbones.
No, there's nothing dangerous in here.
Yeah.
He injects everybody except for Solace.
Does he explain his reasoning on that?
Do you ask him? They're all walking through, and he doesn't inject Solace, and Solace. Roll me spot hit. Actually, no. Psychology at half. You're looking for something different than that.
Nope.
That was a 71.
Okay. Just walks by. Walks by him.
So I've been I'm taking in character notes, Galadier's, like what Galadier will be writing in his journal, and I just sort of came up with, and I just made a realization both Galadier made and I just made right now. Garjan and Ira are able to manipulate fairy dust because that gases are fairy dust, and they're able to change their form. If they're able to manipulate it, they are potentially also able to pull it out. They're the only things that we've interacted with that have been able to manipulate it at all. Meaning that either if they were created by ethivores, then they are not themselves ethivores because they're not affected by it. And that would mean at least one of them may have been created by Arana, and they were probably also involved with the creation of those rings that what's the name found? Arn. So
Rings might be older than that, but
they
yeah.
might be older with that, but again, they're literally the only thing we've come across that has been able to interact with that has been able to interact meaningfully with that substance. Sorry, just wanted to share what Galadir is currently having an epiphany about.
Yes. But I am going to sort of walk up next to Tarn. I'm curious why you didn't give Solace an injection.
He doesn't say anything. He just presses a button, and her immune system report pops up on the screen.
I look over it. It looks odd, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Not human.
Oh, it's human. But like you're looking over stuff. Roll me medicine. Yeah, roll me medicine because he's got reference material that you could tap on.
Her immune system is immediately adapted to everything.
That is...
He's often recording, writing, and also dealing with.
That's 66 to 61 for medicine.
Okay.
Anybody
What
who
you can
can't
immediately
read
tell,
insane
and
by
he's
the
got
way,
some
so.
reference documents, is that her immune system seems to be very strong, and you're guessing she, like,
What?
the gaps that the other individuals have, and aren't referenced on here. But you're not an immunologist. You're not. Vaccines are a pretty known science. You're in a very enclosed space under very controlled
It's not something
conditions.
I had to study.
Yeah, vaccines aren't something that have been really updated much since you left Earth, and a sample size of several trillion among which bacteria and viruses can evolve.
Then something to do with... That does explain a lot.
Would you like to know something a little bit more interesting? He said.
Something to do as well more directly with why she seems to have superhuman reflexes.
Potentially. He pulls up another thing. It's a diagram of one of her cells. Roll me medicine again.
Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
Without saying it out loud.
That was even worse.
That's a cell.
Oh well.
Clearly it's been far too many years since I had to take any tests on this.
Her cells do not show any sign of biological decay.
She was part of the original group that came here.
Presumably. The only one.
That does explain a lot.
Or is she something else?
Would also explain the effects of moving through... Probably the effects of moving through the portal, I would... Yeah. No. Interesting.
Yes.
Probably at this point, after all of the
Yeah, and everyone's gone through it, so you're at the end of the line.
After everyone else has gone through, Gora probably steps up.
What was the plan?
Gotta be careful with that bedside manner, dog. You almost slipped up there.
How long did
What are you talking about? They're
Simple
humans.
questions.
It's what they are.
Just don't give away that you're not quite.
And if I said, oh yes, I'm a half-elf who has used the magical blood of different beings to shatter myself across every existence at once, I'm sure that they would believe me and jump to those assumptions.
I mean, yes, I don't expect anyone to believe that I'm a half-orc either, but you know.
But you're not a half-orc here. That's the difference.
That's fair.
I come up to Tarn.
Yeah.
Tarn, I got a question about Arona.
Sandra's still with you, by the way.
Yeah. Tarn, I got a question about Solus.
Yes. What
Was
would
there
you like?
anything weird about her medical profile?
Yes.
She's remarkably good looking for her age.
Medically?
And I'm impressed that she can keep those dreadlocks without the typical amount of hair product required, and yet her hair doesn't seem that greasy. It's incredible.
Her cells
what
don't
is-
age.
What's her age?
Hard to tell. Her cells don't age.
Yes.
Okay.
And let's also remember, superhuman reflexes could have been one of the first through the portal.
That's what we were talking about.
Also, it's impolite to ask a woman her age, and even more so to ask her doctor.
So, theory.
I believe we didn't directly ask actually.
They did.
I didn't.
I
She did.
asked.
Oh.
I'm also a woman. I can ask.
I can understand the intricacies of the universe, and yet female etiquette always eludes me.
Mm-hmm. We have our own mental guidelines.
At least there's one thing you don't know entirely too much about. That's comforting in a way.
I imagine there are probably several things he doesn't know too much about.
I wouldn't bet on it.
For instance, what the inside of the Between the Worlds is like.
Don't be a jerk, Gallagher.
To Tarn?
Oh, no, absolutely do.
He's only been helpful to me. Sandra doesn't know about Tarn.
We'll have to catch you up on some things. Anyways,
Now, to be fair, what has Tarn actually done to this group? Like list-wise?
Been sketch.
Yeah, he's been sketchy as hell, but he's never actually done anything overt.
Been very
Well,
encouraging of
that's-
Tarl to go
Holy
over.
demonic blood rituals the first time we met him?
this is why Gallagher isn't like aggressive towards him. He's just a jerk towards him.
Yeah.
Like, he's been super sketch and used weird magic to get around not being untethered, but he got around not being untethered. That doesn't exactly call for clean science, does it?
By manipulate the goings on of a war and then murdering his demon family to use their
His
blood for a
demon
ritual.
family.
This is why Yi has
That's-
complex feelings. Because, like, murder and blood magic, but they were demons.
But that means he's part demon and using demon magic.
Also-
it's really all distressing.
Also lied to us, but did so in order to get our help to kill his demon mom, and
It's
Also
all very,
demon
it's all
mom.
very sketch, but there's been nothing overt.
again, Yi has conflicted feelings. Gallagher is just slightly annoyed. Anyways.
Galladir's annoyed because he's like is so pompous and like showy about everything. It's like, really, just kill your demon mom and use the blood. It's
Basically,
fine, I
yeah.
don't care.
Like, just
It doesn't have to be a thing.
Just do the thing.
Like
I'm
the like,
results oriented.
like
Yeah.
there's a lot like the well's been poisoned by our Pathfinder game because we got the full experience of Tarn then, but
Yes.
this is a completely different set of characters.
Anyways, away team. I need to have a conversation with you.
That would be Kyle's the only person not in the room.
Yeah. So I've been going over some notes while doing my field report.
Are you doing this in or not in the presence of Tarn?
Not in the presence of Tarn.
Tarn is going to perform some medicine on some people. That is not a bad number. That is not a bad number.
Not in the presence of Tarn, not because I care if he knows, but mostly because it's more relevant for the rest of us.
Okay. Duncan, you get 2 hit points. Galadir, you get 2 hit points. And Sandra, you get 3 hit points.
I
Yay.
have 4.
I am.
As
This
he-
is not what I need to be writing.
So the face paint markers that
Yeah.
Griffin has been drawing paw prints on himself with?
Yes, I don't need to be writing thank you with one of those. Not on my paper.
He heals you and Duncan very straightforward. He looks at you, smiles. You know, it's really not good for humans to do that, he says, as he makes a show with his, 1700s tools, and the hemorrhaging in your brain feels better. You know, the magic-induced wounds you had.
Yeah.
And he looks over at you. What a fabulous little toy you have, he says as he takes your hand and looks at the numerous cuts you have.
Thank you.
And begins doing
It's rather fun.
a blood transfusion.
I mean, for what it's worth, I'm still kind of beat up, but
Yeah. I'll take a look at you too.
it's nothing severe. I lost 3 hit points.
82 is still within his purview of medicine. Where's my D3? I'll have to use a D6 like a heathen. Oh no, here's my D3.
Does he have
3.
Does he have antique tools because he uses the doctor of medicine occupation?
Maybe.
For those that don't know the mechanics of Call of Cthulhu, your class isn't really a class. You have an occupation that gives you access to certain skills. And they have Doctor, which is a normal, modern medical doctor. And then they have Doctor of Medicine, which is the 1920s Lovecraftian version.
Yep.
That's why he has those utensils.
Alright.
Anyways, so gather the away crew away from Tarn and others. So, I've been writing in my journal some of the information that we've gathered and working through some theories, and Sandra reminded me of a few things that we learned previously that added some information to the journal.
Can this meeting include coffee, please?
You probably would have met in the
I'm
kitchen.
holding
It's
a
the
cup.
most it's the most convenient place.
I'm holding a cup of coffee.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
So, to recap previously, the gases are fairy dust that have been aerosolized and brought into this world from the wood between the worlds. That fairy dust has a sort of a stasis making or containing effect on Athemors particularly. It renders them immobile, it renders them inert, and then they can slowly starve to death. This is all information we learned from Irana's journal, which was in the possession of Wynn.
It's convenient. What?
The virus has already taken effect. Then I recall Garjan compressed that gas into a knife, and also wielded a mace, a flail made of that gas, as did Ira. Ira also wielded a flail, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They both of them seemingly similar constructs, though differently color coded, wielded the same kinds of weapons, and presumably had the same kinds of ability to compress and control this gas. Which means that if they were created by Athemors, if Garjan was created by Irana, then they are very much likely, they and anything like them, are the tools required to manipulate the status of this fairy dust.
Second theory, actually. Garjan coated my knife by plunging it into his chest.
Yes.
Based on that and the fact that we've seen Guardian in another world in a different form, what are the odds that they're actually just fairies?
The Guardian in the other form that we saw in a different world was a Modron. A malfunctioning one, but still a Modron.
Which is
I wouldn't...
also a form of helper creature.
Yes, but I wouldn't qualify it necessarily as a fairy, though that may very well be what fairies look like in this world. It's possible.
I mean, what are the odds that they're actually just fairies from the wood? Considering it's apparent this gas is apparently inside of them.
It's possible.
Well, creatures from the Wood Between Worlds, if the flumps are of any reference, appear the same in other worlds.
I mean, we've got one reference for that.
Granted, but there don't seem to be any other creatures of the wood, at least that we've seen. Either they've all been
rings on a what?
dispersed.
We found the rings on a hedgehog.
Yes, but that was brought in from another world.
Who brings a hedgehog into the wood?
A crazy mad scientist. I've got the book on it. You can read it.
Anyways, so
I'll send you the ebook of it. Here you
yeah,
go.
Auron has rings.
Yeah.
A green ring which
She's apprentice.
a green ring which
Yes.
controls the
Yeah.
portal, which controls the openings between worlds in the wood. Presumably made out of presumably made out of the same fairy dust that these gases are made out of. The green gases are made out of, which controls inertia. Or manipulates, or enhances inertia. We know the orange gas stalls inertia. I'm assuming the orange rings might close portals if the green ones open them. Though that's not in it. We'd have to test that. But either way, Guardian and presumably Ira have some ability to manipulate this fairy dust, which means they're connected to it somehow, either by being fairies or by being constructs that were created specifically to draw this fairy dust out. Which means they might be key to our plan of using, or to our intention of drawing this fairy dust from the wood into reality, or into this reality. Or into
Guardian
the
doesn't
reality.
speak in the other world either, does he?
He did. Very brokenly.
It's also entirely possible that this Guardian is a completely different Guardian from the other one.
I find that less than likely, but it is a possibility, yes.
I mean, it's possible. It is possible to have contemporaneous or cotemporous instances of one entity across worlds that are individual but still connected. Recursions in the pattern.
It was specifically mentioned to you that important figures will be carried through.
Yeah.
For example, Torel will always have her murdered husband, who himself will not be untethered but will be linked to her. Likewise, Sandra will typically always have important parts of her family.
Yeah, this Guardian is not necessarily the same Guardian. But they could serve similar purposes, or could have similar origins. And as Modrons are entities of order that are created by higher entities of order, if we carry that over, then Guardian is a constructed entity that was created by a higher entity of some order. In potentially Irana. Which leads me to my other thought that Sandra also had, is that Solus is, as we just learned a minute ago, is human, but is superhuman in the medical terminology.
Functionally immortal, as far as we can tell.
In addition to having supernatural,
Biologically immortal.
Ageless would be more accurate.
in addition to having enhanced reflexes.
Just something's been bothering me about her for a while, and I haven't had a chance to talk to the other people that live there. But she was talking about how people get the calling and run off and become stitched and everything. She's at that age.
She'd be well beyond that age.
There doesn't seem to be any preparation of who to take over.
Well, if she's well beyond that age, I don't think she's had to deal with it.
In addition,
Something just
But
seems
she's-
fishy.
avoided it if she is.
Yes.
It's hard to tell if the calling happens exactly at one time or if it's a perpetual thing.
She's in charge of everyone. There's no one else. It's just her.
And
So if she were to run off, no one's prepared to take over. And I feel like if she were like everyone else, there would be a system.
Well, she's very clearly not like everyone else.
Yes, no, that's why
That's the point.
so
I've been suspecting this for a
we
while.
know from Pyro that ethivores can take on any form. They can look like anything. Because Pyro looks mostly humanoid, doesn't he?
He looks like he looks like a person who
Yeah.
is a personal inferno.
Yeah, but he's
Hence
person.
the nickname.
But he's person shaped.
He's person shaped, whereas the Tarask was not.
Like-
Whereas Yylor is apparently an ethivore, and he was a giant moai head.
And
Krator is an
a
ethivore, and he's a
planet.
planet.
Yeah. So
I have not seen Pyro, so I do not know this.
And also, presumably based on the journal entries, Strafonio passed for human.
yeah, Strafonio passed for human, and Irana was at the very least. We need to catch up on a lot.
Yes.
Um,
I'm sorry, you're dropping these names. I mean, I know who Pyro is, I just haven't seen him.
Pyro, humanoid, fire.
I've been told of Pyro, I just haven't physically seen.
We haven't physically seen
I
Strafonio.
don't know who Strafonio is.
Strafonio was an Ethivore of Madness whose journal we found in another world
With a copy of him.
with a copy of him.
Okay.
I can run you over a more
Apprentice.
thorough story of it later.
Okay.
Someone who went by Shaphonia.
Yes.
And so Strafonio also had a journal which we recovered. Irana also had a journal. I pull out Irana's journal. Had a journal, which she could write in.
Have you
That
guys...
is human size.
Have you met Arana?
No.
Okay.
No one has, as far as you can tell.
So it's
Except for Strophonia.
it's entirely possible.
Okay.
It's entirely possible that Solus is an Ethivore. It's entirely possible that Solus is Irana or some other kind of Ethivore that feeds off of a more positive emotion. Or maybe even a not positive emotion. There was plenty of fear in that place, just not overt fear of Solus. We don't know enough about the makings of Ethivores to figure out a way to be able to look and determine that something.
We can't identify an Ethivore if it doesn't look obviously aberrant.
That's something we should add to our list of things to find. In addition to ways to contain, ways to destroy, and ways to
identify.
yeah, we need ways to identify.
Well, I believe the next world that we're planning on going to was
Ways
attempting to answer that very question
No.
because the
The next world is ways to destroy. There's magic that can destroy anything. That's why I wanted to go for it last, because if it has the chance to destroy anything, then anything we learn will be lost with us.
Where are you going next?
It's a world where there apparently exists magic that can destroy anything that it touches.
It was specifically a way to taint Ethivores, to corrupt them from
Yeah.
their power source directly.
So, either way. So yes, so Guardian and Solus may both be related to our Ethivore issue. Which means we need to learn more about Solus.
Yes.
We can't learn more about Guardian at this point.
Guardian also reacted to Solus's name when I was testing out words. It's the only name other than Yylor that Guardian reacted to.
You keep pronouncing it Solus. Is it like sunlight, or is it solace, or like being alone, or...
S-O-L-U-S?
Is
So-
that-
You haven't seen it
I
spelled.
haven't seen it spelled. That's what I've been going for, is Solus, like light.
Because, I mean, names
Well-
seem to have meaning.
and if you think about it as well, Guardian was Guardian that got modified over time. Could have been Solace that got modified over time. Being very connected ideas as well.
Are we seeing any, just from our experiences so far with them, have we seen any overlying themes of emotional resonance between these people? Anything that's consistent and large and very easy to point out.
Want to roll me a psychiatry check, psychiatrist? Any about emotional consistency? You're talking about the villagers, right?
Yeah, the villagers.
Psychoanalysis. Analyze them.
64, 95.
They're all abnormally relaxed with everything. A group of space people come in with
Everyone
weapons
except
that
for
make
Solus.
loud noises, and they're just fine with that. That's not normal human behavior.
Yeah.
They bring a spaceship in, and they're like, oh, that's cool, you have movies. They say, come with us, and they're like, sure, sounds like a blast, let's abandon everything we know and get on a spaceship. I'm down.
Yeah, like Solus has been the only person to show any amount of suspicion.
It could be, again, with the Ethivore theory of perhaps feeding off of calmness or off of order or something similar.
Or apathy, something like that.
Solus was the one that asked us to get them off Kraken, wasn't he?
Perhaps not apathy. They were still hard workers, but
Yeah, I mean, they're passionate about what they do. They just seem pretty okay with whatever happens around them.
So perhaps,
Yeah, also, like,
indifference would be a better word for it.
they,
or just relaxed.
they seem fine with the calling. Where one of them just runs off, becomes a stitched monster.
Acceptance.
They don't seem to try to stop it or be afraid of it or anything.
So,
Tie the person down or something.
Barn
Yes. Yeah, they
well,
don't.
yes, like one of those. So,
Which is what you said before.
if we assume then, it turns out our livestock was livestock for 2 Ethivores, or
Yes.
3 now. Then Solus very well could be another Ethivore like Arana that feeds off of something other than negative emotions. If not Arana herself, which seems unlikely now that I think about it because the journal was not on the planet.
Would the journal be with her?
And she would have left the journal somewhere, and theoretically, the journal was on a spaceship with us,
Which came from Earth.
which
is
came
where
from
Solus came
which
from.
came from Earth, yes, but Krator didn't, and Krator was enveloped in gases, so Arana has the ability to travel around.
I want to find one of these people and talk to them casually.
Or had the ability to travel around until she ended up on Krator.
Or dead.
I'll see what I can glean as well.
Weren't we going to check out Wynn's room and find out if there was anything?
So,
We're in
well,
quarantine
okay,
right now,
so
though.
we're in quarantine
Yeah,
right now.
right,
That'll have
but
to
I
wait.
mean-
But so here's a plan.
But
two
you've
of
got, you do have full access to communicators if you want to talk to anybody outside of quarantine. You
Yeah.
can.
The two of you check out the people, talk to them.
And thankfully,
You can use the fact that you are the
Card's
both
out
a
of quarantine,
biologist.
so-
And you can use the fact that you're both a biologist and a doctor to cover up why you're talking to them. Figure out what they might have learned about Solus, what they know about their time, anything about that. Kyle, you can also talk to them. Say you're writing it say it's about for the book that you're writing. Try to get a profile on Solus.
Which
any
I'm
sort
really
of,
looking forward to reading, by the way.
any sort of if you were to write Solus as your as your protagonist, what would be the key essence of her? That's something you can do as well. The rest of us, I still have to finish this report. We all have to finish recovering, but once we get done with this quarantine, the 3 of us will go check out Wynn's place and see if we can't find the remaining scraps of this book.
I'll also, as soon as we get out of quarantine, I'll check my quarters and see if Faust has any relevant information in his.
And we can
you
actually
could see if you could get Card to work on that. He's out of quarantine, or so he should be.
are the communications monitored in ship?
They could be, but Brian O'Card has disabled all sorts of personnel monitoring devices because he doesn't like the idea of people having access to that sort of stuff.
Is there a way to confirm that it's disabled on any particular console?
You would have to trust Brian O'Card and the chief of security.
Oh yeah, as well as it, would security guards be able to check?
You could check, but if they have it active, they can hide it, so you'd have to be a better computer user than them.
Yes, we could check with Card. Brian has monitoring disabled on most communication, but if you want to confirm that, that'd be something that either Cora or Duncan might be able to do. I don't
I'm
know.
machine savvy. I'm not that computer savvy.
Well, then
I'm-
just-
I know I have another assignment, but I am computer savvy.
security team protocols, though, is the thing.
We probably work together.
If you were to work with Gora, you might be able to figure out, just confirm that it's not being monitored. We could get a message out to Card and have him take a look into his stuff. All right, we have assignments. Let's do that. And meanwhile, I'm going to write a complete report. Full of lies.
All right.
Before,
Yes.
Kelly, is your offer to teach me magic still
Yes.
then at a later time?
After we uncork it. It requires things that are in my room.
All right. So let's see. Let's start with. What are you doing, Duncan?
Well, until we get out of quarantine, I'm just gonna meander around with the people too. I guess I should go through my training exercises, but I'm curious as to what these people think about. If I can find somebody that might be interested in learning, some of the self-defense moves, just to see how they handle the idea of smacking other people and stuff like that, just to get an idea.
How well they take to combat?
Yeah,
and-
combat
sparring.
training. Just sparring and stuff like that, just to try to see if
Sure.
they actually...
Maybe she's an Ethivore of peace.
Could be.
No, that's legit. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
if they're just like really go with the flow with everything, that's entirely possible.
Yeah. Because they
And which would mean they'd be really bad at fighting.
right.
At
I just
War
wanna
of
see
Peace
what-
being the devoted warrior of the group, because that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, because she's the only. If no one else can fight, then she has to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do I get anybody that wants to go through like a kata or something and get something like that, and then move to something where
Flash the stand.
just trying to get to hit a target, to teach them how to punch.
Okay.
Just see how they.
So you're going to
how
start
they
with
respond.
now. How are you introducing this idea to them? Are you showing them a kata first, or are you introducing it as a self-defense thing?
Well, I was introduced as self-defense. I'm gonna just start going through my movements and stuff, and then see who's in front of everybody, and just gonna see if anybody's paying attention, and see if anybody wants to come up and learn certain things.
Yeah.
And say what if somebody grabbed you like this? What would you do? And then
Why would someone grab me?
just because we're going to be on a ship full of other people, and you don't know
Yes.
necessarily what other people are going to do. Okay, here, just hold my wrist like this for a second,
Grab
and
your
then
wrist.
I do an escape, and then escape re-grab. So try that.
Why?
Pull away.
Why?
Because well, if you don't, I start tugging on him.
Why would you do that?
I think Ethivore of peace has been established.
I think they are.
I need to get the soundbite of that. That's a classic.
I think clueless is the optimum word. Okay, what if something were falling off a shelf, like a book was falling off a shelf? I mean, how would you keep it from hitting you in the face?
I would step out of the way.
Okay, so I bring my hand down and see if he steps out of the way.
He seems very confused, but because he'll probably step out of the way because you prompted him. Yeah, he'll step back.
Okay.
The people all seem very confused with what exactly you're trying to impart upon them,
Yeah.
and the idea that somebody would inflict violence on another human.
Yeah.
Like, they seem very aware that there are dangers out there. They just don't seem to understand that
They could actually happen.
a human would inflict something on another human.
Honestly, not all that dissimilar from the way that our current coalition of ships is set up.
Well, you've got security though. You know,
Yeah, we've
there's
got-
not a lot of violent crime, but there's little petty theft. There are people getting to fist fights when they have a little bit too much to drink, that sort of stuff. Like,
Yeah, but nothing like,
yeah.
I don't know, have we ever had a murder other than the one?
20 years ago, before that, you'd have to check records.
Yeah,
No, that's
Not my fault.
that's the solution. Get them all drunk, see if they get violent.
Well, yeah, well, we got the kitchen, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're
I'm actually not kidding. Like,
yeah. Let's
seriously.
let's open up the bar.
All right, good training session, you confused people. Come, let's drink.
right.
Drink.
Duncan is going to get people drunk.
Okay, well,
It's going to be
well, first-
real
first of
easy.
all-
They've never had
I'm just
alcohol
gonna
before.
yeah,
question
well,
them.
Yeah.
what's the
And then
first-
you question them while they're drunk.
This is gonna be fun.
because I've already gotten an idea of what their psychology is like, now I can see what they're like when they're drunk to see if it's something that can be affected by that or if it's something that supersedes the chemical nature of their brain.
right.
It's science. We're eliminating
Okay.
variables.
So
I'm
he
gonna
has
bring
gone
some
with
brew.
Duncan on the drunk people plan.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep into that one, you two are going to check communications. Kyle, what are you doing?
I thought Sandra was gonna talk to people.
Well, you're going to do that. Get card on that job first. And then go.
Oh, okay, then I'll.
Because that's going to take
Okay.
a while.
Okay,
Be-
gotcha.
Yeah, you're probably doing that while there's self-defense. You probably come back for drunk.
Okay.
Comes back for drunk.
Wasn't planning on the drunk. Okay.
Well, no, but
The idea presented itself.
Kyle, what are you doing?
Alright, I am gonna go talk with Solace, but before that, I'm gonna go to my room. I'm gonna take out that pen.
All right,
See,
you pull out this pen.
I'm just gonna examine it and just on a blank sheet of paper, just write on it. See.
As you're writing, you begin to feel the veins in your arm begin to become more visible, but there's not drawing anything right now.
So it's not drawing anything.
No, there's no ink
It's
on
fun.
it.
I'm gonna.
Stab yourself with a pen.
Use some ink. Try some ink first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try some ink first. See, try.
Won't suck up the ink.
Spit on it.
On the pen or the paper?
Paper's not much.
Won't suck up ink. But as you hold it open, there's the veins on your arm are pronounced.
I've never learned how to write with a fountain pen. How do is it?
I find it easier, but one of the things I've noticed
Is it like a dragging motion more than a?
Number
Yeah.
one, it's a pulling motion. Number two, the biggest thing when writing with a fountain pen, and the reason I find it easier, you apply so little pressure. If you push at, because the ink flows, you're not rolling anything. If you apply any amount of pressure, you actually can split it. It's upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want the black down. Yes.
Black down. Yeah, like that.
So tip down.
Yeah. And they're gravity affected. You
Now,
can't
if
draw
you with
upside
a quill
down.
pen, it goes the other way because you got the ink.
Oh yeah, no, that is very light.
Yes. And one of the biggest complaints I always got from all my teachers was my writing was incredibly light. So when I decided, I looked into it, I saw that fountain pens help certain people. It can also be really helpful for people who write with their left hand because one of the things about ballpoint pens, when you're writing with a ballpoint pen and you're writing with your left hand, you're pushing into the ink and you're pushing that ball across it in the wrong direction rather than pulling the ball across it. With a fountain pen, it doesn't matter as much because there's no ball, it's a capillary. And so it doesn't matter as much. The downside with left-handed writing with a pen is if you don't have quick-drying ink,
You'll smudge it.
you'll smudge it because it's water-based inks aren't like oil-based inks in that regard.
I want a fountain pen though.
If you want a fountain pen, I will recommend the Pilot Metropolitan. Makes a really good fountain pen. That's what that is, and they're about. They technically are $20 to $25, but they're almost always as one on sale for about $15 on Amazon.
How do you refill them?
Cartridges.
No, mine.
those-
Well, you
those-
can use cartridges, but mine
does that actually
has got a
suck?
bladder, and I just squeeze. I dip it into the ink, I squeeze that until it's flat, and then it just sucks up the ink into it.
Nice.
You've converted another one.
Ah!
I don't write a lot, and that feels really nice to write with.
Yeah.
Let's
I've
get
learned
that.
if you have bad handwriting, try a fountain pen because they write differently.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
write differently in it. And like just looking at my handwriting in this little bit, it's a little bit clearer just because I have
I
to.
feel
write
like
differently.
these need to be taken away from me before I start drawing on other people. I already tried to with William, but he wouldn't let me.
You don't know anything.
Stop offering people.
Anyway, Kyle, yes, your fountain pen is slightly different than that.
Back to.
Because yours is not a shiv designed to write in blood.
Correct.
Did we
We hope.
get the
Yes, we saw him write in blood.
Yeah, you saw him stab himself and write in blood.
I mean, right now I'm just doing my report, so if you want to.
Yeah, I'm not doing that now.
Okay, you look at it, you try to write with your thing, and you're like,
Eventually I do need to go see one of the doctors because I took some damage in the
okay.
finals battle. So yeah, now I'm gonna keep it on me, but I'm gonna go talk to Solace.
How big was the flail that Barton had, by the way?
It was anime sized.
So, like 6 feet long.
We're talking the head of the flail was like a basketball,
So like a.
and it was on like a 6 foot long chain.
So like a 2-foot ball. So like a 2-foot ball and a 6-foot chain.
Yeah.
Get away from me.
Whoop. This table is collapsing
Yes.
actively as we speak.
I will have to.
Was that the table?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, I thought someone
Was-
just kicked something.
No, I leaned back and my foot's here. I think I bumped the table.
Okay.
It felt like the other leg broke.
It probably shifted something.
It might have been what happened with me last time, only not as bad. Where this came down.
Yeah, I need to de-jankify things down here, but
If anyone wants to
Is
give
that
us money so
possible?
we can buy like a really nice table.
Is that possible to de-jankify things here?
Or
Yeah,
not
to an
even
extent.
really nice table. Just one of the
There are
the
layers.
functional table.
Yeah.
one of the
There are
one of
layers
the
of
cheaper ultimate gaming tabletops would be not the super high end, but
yeah, not the
The
salt, not the
lower
$3,000 Sultan, like the
No.
the $750
yeah,
ambassador.
sub $1,000 gaming table. That'd be great.
But yes, you stop by and the doctor fixes you up, and then you go to speak to Solus.
Yep.
She is sitting as you go up to her room and you ring the doorbell.
Remember, covert.
Enter, she says,
Thank you.
and the door opens. You walk in and the door closes behind you. Kyle, was it?
Yes, Solus.
Indeed.
How are you adjusting to your new surroundings?
I will be all right. I am concerned about my people. They will be experiencing many new things here.
One of which right now. you just hear party in the background. That's the abridged version of this. I'm experiencing many new things here. Chug! Oh my God! He did a keg stand.
Your biologist is a very interesting individual.
Which one?
Sandra.
How so?
Biologist.
He's
Thrush.
Oh, right.
Jeez. Oh, him.
very concerned about things. Very thorough.
I do believe that's his profession. So.
Yes, he has taken it upon himself to burn all of the vegetation that was brought. He said it would interfere with the genetic perfection he has implemented here.
That's unfortunate. The food was very delicious when I had a chance to try it. But I came here to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. See, I was assigned. The reason I went down to your planet was they want me to write a book for the public. of our adventure down there, of our discoveries, and I wanted to perhaps include you in the book, maybe because I feel like as if you would be the best to represent your people in the story. Perhaps get the others on the ship to warm up to you more quickly.
I do not need people to warm up to me. I will be all right.
You and the rest of your people.
They will not harm my people.
No, they will not.
That is correct.
We shall see.
Jump!
Nonetheless,
I hope Guardian doesn't get angry about this.
if you wouldn't mind, could I still ask you some questions about yourself?
Yes.
Do you still have any family amongst the rest of your people?
No.
No. And how long were you? Oh, no, that's right. No,
No box.
no. What's it called? No perception of time because of your planet stayed still. What do you remember?
From what I understand, it is considered rude to ask a woman her age.
I've been told, yes.
That seems nonsensical.
Another woman can do it, though.
I am 576, if that is what you are wanting to know.
Oh, there we go.
The year 576?
Is that how long you were on the planet, or is...
No, we were on the planet for 567 years.
Wait, she was 9?
No.
Yeah.
She was-
67 plus 9 is 76.
Yeah.
And
Oh boy.
do you remember anything before you were on that planet?
Yes, I was a slave.
That's right. I do believe you mentioned something when we first met.
Indeed.
My apologies if that brought up any...
None. He got what he deserved.
There you go. Now we're getting somewhere.
Right on.
I was looking through the console. It looks like your people abolished such an act a long time ago. At least in the land where I was from.
Thankfully, yes.
Though it took them much longer to be alright with those of my color skin.
Yes, that is definitely an unfortunate time in our past.
People are abominations, full of hate.
Not all
It is unfortunate that we have to live amongst ourselves.
She is definitely not like that.
She's not real.
One of these things is not like the other.
Hi, Ethanor.
Well,
Almost doesn't know which one.
well, obviously not everyone's bad. I mean, look at yourself. You care a lot about your fellow people that you wish to protect them.
I do wish to protect them. But I can imagine that my anger could get the best of me. I could imagine myself committing great atrocities against others.
Yep.
I guess.
I am no better than anyone else.
Well,
I protect these people because they are the last remaining innocents in a universe that is cold, uncaring, and despicable.
Maybe she feeds off of innocence, not peace.
Trying to remember what else we needed.
You pretty much got it.
Yeah, that's
I mean, you can ask how she lived so long.
Yeah.
that's some
If
good
you want,
info
you
right
want to
there
get
so
more
far.
direct.
Maybe she'll tell you.
Well,
So what are the secrets? How do you exfoliate?
I mean, she was pretty straightforward about how she's 500 years old. So, ask how she lives so long, especially when the people of the village just disappear at 30.
Yeah. When you got to the planet, was Guardian already there?
Yes.
And he took you all in, I assume, or was there any hostility at the beginning?
No. When we met with Gajin, I approached him and spoke with him. He seemed to appreciate the innocence of a child. He does not speak, but he made his vow to protect us in his own way.
She's a newborn, evermore.
What now?
Or she's just, jaded and scarred from hundreds of years of seeing people die.
I mean, yeah, but also
What information did I just miss?
not much. She was a child. If she's still in the truth, she was a child when she came before you met Guardian. And was like, ooh, she's a newborn, evermore.
Did she mention anything about the original master?
Just
got
that
what
he
he
got what he
deserves.
served.
You got what you did.
When they met with Iailaw, those of the pale skin were taken. Gajin protected us. Fought back against the thing.
That's the ultimate test, really, at the moment.
I see. Is he
You told her to.
I know, I did.
the one that did he do anything to? What how he protected you obviously? Is that all he did to help you and your people?
He protected us. He created this, she says, pulling out her blade. For me.
The physics, the momentum stopping blade. Yes, you were able to
Yes,
to stop a shot from one of our railers with that thing.
indeed.
I think now we're charging my railer as well.
They
Any-
call it the Newton killer. Because it kills physics.
Is there anyone else in your village that's like you? 'Cause,
No.
I'm guessing that must have been really tough on you.
I would not wish anyone to be like me.
How did you become this way? You obviously weren't always that way. You came from Earth and
It's great when it thousands of years.
She looks at you. You are like me. You would understand.
Is Kylo in the war too?
Wow, plot twist.
Yeah, plot twist. Rudy's like, wait, what?
He feeds off of adventurous stupidity.
We got lots of that.
We all have a secret in called Cthulhu, right? Is his that he's an Ethivore?
Don't even worry about it.
could you be a little more clear?
You have not asked the obvious question.
That should be straightforward.
Humans do not live for over 500 years.
Yes.
It was a And she narrows her eyes. Gift. Placed on me by an Ethivore.
Boom.
This is the one.
Duh.
I thought so. This is the one that I portrayed.
That what?
Did they have a name? Did they give you a name?
That what?
That
You
are-
said, yeah, like Pyro messed up somebody's life, like a while ago to me, and that it was a girl, and I've been theorizing that this is her for a while now.
There is one Ethivore who feeds off of the crushing of dreams and hopes.
You knew that one.
He
No, Pyro
is a
feeds off-
living inferno.
I thought Pyro fed off the destruction of worlds.
He destroys worlds
To crush dreams and
to
hopes.
crush dreams and hopes.
I guess
Like dreams and hopes of living in a world that
That-
isn't being destroyed.
That's why he has to build up people's hopes and dreams and then crush them. Once he's devastated a world, no one has hope anymore and he has to move on.
Yeah. I guess that.
It's not a very sustainable.
No, it really isn't.
No. He is one of the greater Ethivores, not like some others.
I see.
And his curse to me was that I would live to see generations of my people destroyed. When I discovered what I was and I left, I learned that that curse followed me, whichever world I went to. I have watched for 567 years as innocent people grow and become monsters.
I'm sorry.
And now we're all trying to look at each other.
Hopefully, hopefully now you won't have to suffer through that.
What I have learned in watching those around you become monsters is that it's not so much a transformation process as realizing who they really are underneath. Humans are all despicable.
Elf figurine.
It's just a matter of finding out how so. But that won't help your book, now will it?
Not much.
Not much. Ugh.
It is interesting. I have never seen so many untethered in one place before.
Now she's just showing off.
How come your group would be that way?
Is
Do Untethered have an innate sense for other Untethered?
Nope.
Nope. So I'm trying to figure out how everyone knows that we're Untethered.
I know, right?
It's literally just Tarn and her. Card knows because
Yeah, Card's interacting with us.
you've interacted with him. This lady just looked at you and was like,
Because she's an Ethivore.
you could just tell by
She's
looking
just
at
the
me.
created one. Pyro created an Ethivore.
there is a sense about you.
Well, it is a very long story. And to be honest, I wasn't there from the very beginning. But I can tell you bits and pieces through our time with. We will be spending a lot more time together, hopefully.
I will be curious to know. You gonna spend the next time with her regaling your story to her?
A bit.
What happens when you get to the part about how we're trying to kill Pyro?
Yeah, that's gonna be the hard part. I'm gonna decide if we want to tell her that or not. We don't know
Doesn't
if
she
she.
hate Pyro?
She doesn't seem to be a very big fan of him.
Yeah, I
I
don't think.
think
I don't
she'd
think
be
she
a
likes
positive
him.
supporter.
We just have to.
Yeah,
We have to
make
feel her
her-
out a little more before we admit to.
So what do you tell her? Do you tell her just the fluff bits, or you tell her all like the wood and the interactions with Ethibors and Tarn or Elrin or the diamonds in general?
I'll just tell her the club for now,
Okay.
but I will let her know that by the end of it, I'll tell her we'll discuss it more in the future.
Do you mention Pyro at all?
Not yet.
Okay.
Did she mention Pyro?
Yes.
Yeah, she's been, so.
She mentioned the great Ethivor who is a living inferno,
Ah, yes, gotcha.
who lives off of the destructions of hope and dreams. Presumably.
Yeah.
We pretty much.
There can't be that many of those. And if there are,
And that he's an
then we've got a
exceptionally
lot of
powerful Ethivor.
I mean, there could be more than one.
There could, in which case you
We've
need
got a lot of
to.
work to do.
We'd have a lot of
We
work
need to
do.
hurry up to that next world.
Yeah, in which case you need to step up your game.
We need to move faster.
All right. So, brain. So you're doing that. Let's go to our security division.
I'm not security.
But you're hacking into security.
Well, yes.
Roll me computer
I'm a
skills.
botanist.
Yes, you're a botanist who has computer hacking skills.
Yes, I do.
And you're originally from Shadowrun.
65 of 85.
Oh wow, you're really good with computers.
I'm very good with computers. It was about time I had a character that was actually good with it.
You go in and you open up a basic communication channel so you can talk with your mother, because of course you would love to talk with your mother. And you talk back and forth, and your father talks, and it's a very pleasant talk, and the whole time you're looking through subroutines and watching see if there's any monitoring, seeing if there's anything under the surface, and you can pretty decisively determine that no, every protocol has been disabled. The protocols exist. There's the base level protocol, and then there's a subroutine that's hidden underneath that you also find, and it has likewise been disabled.
What is she looking for?
You're looking to see if there is any monitoring or recording of communication on these channels.
Okay.
There appears to be no.
There doesn't seem to be. Okay.
The routines are set up, but they are not in use.
Which we just wanted to confirm before we called Card and asked him
Yeah.
to burgle somebody's room.
And as far as you know, no one's even aware you're making this call.
Awesome. Aside from her parents.
Yeah. And it takes a while. It's a good 15-minute call, but you get to catch up at the same time. All right. In the meantime, you've got Gora sitting off to the side, and you're in. She's showing you different parts, be like, kind of muttering, check this, check that, and you go through and. Computer.
Bum, bum, bum.
Wasn't me.
It wanted to let you know that there's an update ready.
I don't want an update.
Okay. Yeah. No, we're still live though. All right.
Okay.
Going through, and yes, you determine that you are perfectly safe.
Okay.
Whenever you're done with your conversation,
She'll wrap up with 5 minutes.
Okay. So you wrap up, and
I will contact Card then.
all right. You call his private communicator.
Yeah.
That's all. Gara, what can I do for you?
While we're in quarantine, if you could do us the favor of turning over Win Reddick's room to see if there might be anything else related to that book that he had.
All right. I'll do that. Anything in particular you want me to look for?
The other half of the book,
Any missing papers?
any missing pages,
All right. We'll do it.
any ideas as to where they might be if they're not there.
Okay.
Also, anything, occult. Any indicator that this was going on.
All right.
That's all I got.
Pretty standard. Anything out of place?
Yep.
All right. I'll keep you updated.
All right, thank you. And I'll drop the line. Well, I think I'm gonna bite the bullet and make use of all of our assets. I'm gonna go talk to Tarn.
Okay.
Are you going with her, or are you going
She's gonna try to go talk to
talk to
somebody.
people? All right. And then Galadier.
I'm going around. Like, the field report is easy enough to do. Like, it's just blah. Here's
Yeah.
things that happened, omitting the things that they
Yeah,
need to know.
especially when you're making stuff up.
Yeah.
Please tell me you actually put blah on
No,
there.
I do not put blah. So that aside, I am studying, and instead of trying to go over all the information that I have currently in my head, just trying to see if there's anything we missed, if there's anything that merits further study, if there's anything that requires, probably make an idea roll.
Yeah,
I
making
guess.
an idea roll.
Just to see
To
if
see if there's
anything
anything that's out of place.
anything that needs to be dealt with that isn't being dealt with. 15 of 85.
15. Oh, so an incredible
An
success.
extreme success.
Extreme success.
Because my extreme threshold is 17.
All right. Wait a second. You're the only person on the ship who speaks Latin.
And there was Latin in that book.
Not just in that book. There was Latin to operate those terminals.
Yeah.
How the heck did Card operate those terminals? Also, he managed to navigate the terminal and arrange for the release of the Stitched, and then ran into the room and apparently panicked and remembered the Latin word for kitchen.
Okay.
Card. Actually, I'm going to call Brian O'Card. No, Brian O'Card.
Hey!
Yes, Galadier, what can I do for you?
Hey, Brian, I've got a really, this is going to seem like a really out of the blue question. It just popped into my head. You know how I get when ideas come through my head and it's just, rambling. You don't speak Latin, do you? Or like know how to read it? Or, yeah.
Nope, don't think anyone on the ship does except for yourself.
Your son does.
And you didn't even learn it here.
Yeah,
There's no
no.
one here to even learn it from.
Yeah, no, I learned it in the university. Your son doesn't do it. He doesn't know it either.
Oh,
Right?
goodness. It's hard enough. I tried to get him to learn Gaelic and he wouldn't learn that, so don't think he's taking interest in any other languages.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering, like.
No, don't put any Latin in your field report.
Yeah. No, I should make sure to translate all of that. Just wanted to make sure because I was.
Are you telling me there was Latin on the planet?
No, I was just using a cipher, and I probably shouldn't. I was getting too smart for my own good. You know how it is.
No, Galadier, no one knows how it is. That's just you. English.
It's lonely at the top. Anyways, I just want to check. No worries. It's all in English. Click.
Yeah, there's not a word of Latin on this entire ship, except for your book.
Line of communication to the field team,
Yes,
excluding Card.
you will get a phone ring.
Yep.
Emergency.
Yes?
I've got kind of emergency.
Emergency of what?
What kind of
Time.
emergency?
Card doesn't speak Latin.
Okay.
Doesn't read Latin. Doesn't know Latin. Doesn't even know Gaelic. The terminals in the laboratory were operated with Latin.
He didn't have anywhere near enough blood loss to have that level of trial and error.
Is it
You
not Card?
You don't just stumble into Latin phrases, particularly not the Latin word for kitchen.
Is it not Card?
Card doesn't know Latin.
So,
Who is it?
So Card might be something else.
We need to get out of this quarantine.
Okay. Where's the door?
Goran,
Where's
you already
Dr.
called Card.
No, where's
This
the door?
was just after you called Card.
Yeah,
No, I'm gonna
literally
walk over
just-
to whatever door. I know
Where's
that there's an
Dr.
exit.
Letter?
No, I'm not gonna worry about the doctor.
That's where Gora's headed.
I'm just gonna open the door.
Yeah, Sandra would likewise be headed to Dr. Letter.
Can't.
Why not?
It's
Locked?
sealed.
See,
If you
Quarantine.
break that thing,
but it's not
hey,
locked.
If you
It
break
is
that thing
sealed
down,
is locked.
It's an airlock.
It's an
So?
airlock.
if you try to bypass that thing, you're going to make life harder for all of us because they're going to deem us insane at the drop of a hat.
Also, it'll vent all the air.
So,
That would also be unfortunate.
oh well.
We'll die.
Well, let's go with the original plan and get drunk first.
Yes, do that.
Yes, you had just gotten off the phone with Card when he called you.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
the two of us are going to see Dr. Letter.
yeah.
Oh.
Calendar, what you doing? the same-
Also going to see Dr. Letter.
All right,
Party with time.
the three of you go back to the medical bay, and Dr. Letter is sitting there.
Tarn, we got an issue.
Yes.
We need you to let us out
We
of
need-
quarantine.
Yeah,
And why would I do that?
Because something's wrong with Card.
because I'm the only person on this
Or
ship that
she
speaks
isn't
Latin.
Card. Or
And
Card can speak Latin, or he did on the planet.
interesting. So what you're telling me is that
Okay, I feel like you already know. And you're being a pompous jerk about it right now.
Now you know why we don't like Tarn.
So can you please just let us out?
I'm sorry, but quarantine is mandated for at least 2 days.
So, I've had enough time to recharge my mana, right?
You've had about 3 hours.
You want us to win because you want to see the bloodbath that's going to occur when we go back and fight Pyro. But you don't want to make it easy for us because that'd be boring.
Well, look, I want you to ultimately win that battle, but the battle's a long way. So much
Tell us who Card is.
Well, we can just wait another day. I mean,
Or
it's not
what's
that
up
big a
with
deal.
him?
We can't,
That's an
because we
excellent
sent him
question.
to find Wynn's stuff.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
and
right.
can you tell us?
Hey, see, that's why.
said-
I was questioning that in the first place. I shut that down, but I wasn't there
said
when he called him.
earlier,
That was
I don't know
that was a
everything.
foolish thing for
It's true
having
enough.
someone else there.
I don't know everything, and I enjoy finding out.
So,
So you don't know who he is,
I'm gonna
but you take pleasure in what's about to happen.
Absolutely.
I want to try.
Wow, I get why they don't like you.
Oh, my dear, you seem to have mistaken me for a good person. How unfortunate.
Nice to be on the ship.
I mean, what's wrong with just opening the door and 3 of us leaving? I mean,
It's,
yeah.
it's just, sounds like,
I mean, it's just a matter of
I want to see if
resetting the seal and heading out.
I want to see if I can recreate that portal.
To the planet?
No, the portal that was on the planet. I want to recreate it, but into ship.
Where's the door?
Which door?
The door to the outside.
The airlock.
You have to leave here.
No, not the airlock.
It's an inner airlock.
Just-
Because you're in a docking bay.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you have to get into the main part of the ship.
I mean, it's you can walk over to it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do with that?
What plant life is there?
Some of the plant life, some of the samples I took from the ship.
They've all been burnt, as you discover.
Dang it.
You don't remember?
You go down and you find that your boss has a bonfire going, and he is very efficiently burning all of the plant
Is
life.
there anything left right now that isn't burnt? Why?
I have an idea.
It was genetically inferior, and I did not want it to propagate itself into our supply lines.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. You've been so helpful.
I want to. So yeah, I want to see if I can recreate the portal. I want to make a portal from one of the off areas of the docking bay to my room.
Roll me Cthulhu Misses.
Has it gone up at all, by the way, in the various encounters and things that I've read?
It went up earlier. Remember?
Yeah, I only went up to 7. I don't know if I went up any further than
No, it just went up by the 2 from reading that book.
One's a 7, the other's an 8. 87.
All right, so you can't do that. You can jury rig it. It'll take a lot of mathing and time, but you could manipulate the portal down there to teleport yourself to the planet, and then change the portal from the planet to teleport yourself from the planet to somewhere else. It's a daisy chain a bit, but you can, and it takes a lot of physics because you have to calculate where wherever you are will be at that point in time. But depending on how good your physics skill is, you could do it. It'll take anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how long it takes you to do the calculations.
So, I'm going to go try to stop Card. You guys figure out a way to get the rest of you out of the ship, out of this area of the ship.
Can I come with you?
I don't think I can bring more than one person, but you can try.
I mean, you drove a Jeep through earlier.
Yeah, but it wasn't a person. It was an inventory that I was carrying. Remember?
Oh, right, yeah, because you were carrying the Jeep.
Well, let's see.
I play dead and you carry me.
Let's see if I can carry you through with me.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna try to pick her up and walk through and see if I don't just drop her on the floor.
All right, you pick her up off the ground and walking through. You roll me a physics roll to see how quickly you can manipulate this portal.
26 out of 88.
Hard success?
88.
Yeah, so
Half
it's not
of 88
fifth.
is 44. So
Yeah, it wasn't
it
extreme.
wasn't a fifth, but it's a hard one. So.
Okay, so you're able to do the portal in about 5 minutes, and then you pick her up, walk through, and you are back on the surface of this planet.
Is she with me?
Yes, and she can't breathe.
Crap.
Helmet.
Where are you producing a helmet from?
I never took mine off.
Yes.
When you were
you
checked
go
out by the
forward.
doctor, you
Oh,
returned to
okay.
your regular uniforms.
Moving through the portal doesn't change her biology at all.
Pardon?
Moving through the portal doesn't change her biology at all.
Because you're just
Jump
carrying
back through.
you step through. You're like, pull
Carry
back through.
So that's why you're not going through.
Helmets.
You go obtain a helmet.
Helmet on. Carry back through. Trial and error. And then redirect it to my quarters.
Okay, and you walk. All right, so roll me another physics roll.
31. Actually, sorry, 13.
13?
Yeah, it's
All right.
it's in there.
Massive success. You're able to do it in about 2 minutes.
And then carry back through.
All right. You are now in your room.
You're now. So,
Okay, can I remove the helmet?
Yeah, you remember
Okay,
that.
thank
And
you.
so this is the first time you've ever been in Galadier's room.
Okay.
It's wood paneled.
What's alive in here?
Nothing's alive. It's wood paneled.
Which is excessively decadent.
It's fairly well appointed. The weirdest part is that on the night table next to the bed there is a circle of black candles, and the skull in the middle of it with a candle melted on top, and lots of carvings around it and on it. Steps through, looks at it, looks at you, shrugs, opens the door, moves outside.
Goth or part of your magic voodoo?
Why can't it be both?
Oh, okay. Just wondering.
Look, his magic voodoo can be part of his aesthetic.
Also, a nice room.
Thank you. Closed door, lock behind me, and taking off towards wherever Win Redding's room is.
All right.
I'm praying you don't get seen.
I'm assuming that the people who know about the quarantine are not going to be wandering around this area.
Everyone knows about the quarantine.
Never mind.
That's how they explain. Okay, the team is back from the ship, but because of standard procedure, they'll be in quarantine for 2 days.
Special exemption. Don't worry about
And
it.
there's 750 people on the ship. Odds are
No, no.
they might know you.
Well, yeah.
OBS, where did you go?
Taking our chances.
You run into a random bystander. Roll
Just
for initiative.
just walk like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, walk
Like
with
you're
purpose.
supposed to be doing.
I'm walking with purpose like I normally do.
I own the place.
That's how Galadier always walks.
Assume people won't ask questions, because the last time someone asked a question, they were given a novel, and nobody wants to repeat that.
I will pull out my journal and be writing in it, so it's like, so it's that thing where they see me walk past, writing in the journal, it's like, oh, it's Galadier. Wait.
And by that point, you're already
I'm
gone.
already
Make
turned the
a
corner.
luck roll.
Should I make this as well?
I told Galadier to make the roll.
Okay.
We're going off his luck.
26 of 50.
I feel like it's Galadier's charisma and presence that's being more active here right now.
You don't run into anybody
Good, good.
on the way over.
You're good.
You get to the room.
Which room are we going to right now?
Win Reddings.
Okay.
Winredig's.
Open the door.
It's locked.
Of course, I can take.
Computer person.
Oh, yes.
Roll me computer to see if you can override these locks.
26 of 85.
26 of... Oh, so hard success.
Yes.
And you hear a slight hiss as the magnets release, and you disabled the lock. You may now open it by hand. You just deactivated the security mechanism.
Alright, it's disabled. Manually open it now.
Opening it now.
All right. You pull it open. Inside, you see...
Card dancing in the middle of a pentagram painted in blood.
no, but you do see Card. Card is
I see card, question mark.
looking through a desk of papers. How did you get here?
When did you stop being card?
Big Card.
Card doesn't speak Latin, or read it, or happen to have arbitrary words like kitchen in his head.
Who are you?
Interesting.
I'm the only person on the ship that speaks Latin, and I learned it in the school, on the university, on a different ship that Card's ever been to.
That seems like it would have been useful to know.
Who are you?
Card.
But you're not.
But I am. Can I have your doctor check me out? Definitely Card.
I will produce. I'm going to hold up and charge the sign of power.
He looks at it.
So you're not So you're not one of the Ethivores from this place.
Are you a clone of Card?
Step in, close the door.
That would require a massive amount of elaborate technology.
Yes, it would. Are you? Because you're not answering the question right now.
And the planet kind of did have
All right.
lots of people, so you know.
What are your guys' dex scores?
Oh, crap.
Good thing I've already got it charged.
Don't you guys both have the same awful dex score?
No, that's us.
Okay.
I have 55.
55?
I have 40.
Yep. Whoa, Lodex.
I also only have 4
Yay.
hit points.
Alright.
Aren't
I
you
have
fixed
9.
up?
What?
Aren't you fixed up?
Yes, I gained 2 additional
gained 2 hit
points.
points.
Two.
Alright. Well,
Thanks a
Clone
lot.
Card is totally
Yeah,
going
hold it.
for...
We find Card in a room full of cloning vats. Nothing suspicious here.
I was curious if you'd pick up on it. And then I wouldn't have given it to him, but he made an extreme success. And
Well,
I'm like,
it didn't seem weird to me because Card gets to weird places.
yes, he does. Specifically the Latin thing, because on the planet I emphasized a couple times that you were the only person on the ship who spoke Latin.
So is real Card still on
Yeah,
the
but I
planet?
forget that.
Maybe?
Maybe.
He may have found a way to get the heck out of there. Who knows?
Is another Card about to walk into the room and I'm gonna have to
Alright.
do the who's the real Card thing?
Pick a card, any card.
Yes, So you are fighting against a Card who has the exact same physical stats of Card, which means he's a pretty bad fighter. So he grabs a what would
It
be
also
on Wynn's
explains
desk.
better why he wasn't helping us in fights.
Conveniently, Card's a pacifist. He grabs a large rock sample that was sitting on a table and runs over and tries to club you with it,
So this definitely isn't Card.
and
Yeah.
it doesn't work. I should point out that Card is a 14-year-old and is 4'10". A small child is trying to beat you with a rock.
So... Alright. I'm going to try to intimidate him. Because I'd rather intimidate him and then blast him than blast him and not have the chance.
Okay, that's fair.
Was this card around? This card was around when I blasted Wynn with this, but not when
Yes.
I blasted the rabbits.
Yeah.
Okay. Card, clone, you do know that I am a literal space wizard. I will end you if you do not just tell us what we want to know.
Roll intimidation.
24 of 21. I'm going to spend 3 points of luck to make that a success.
All right, you're going to be rolling against the other factor that's intimidating him. Who rolls pretty poorly. Card will stagger for a moment. While he's staggered, Holly.
Are there any plants in this room?
No.
Nothing I can use.
The only plants in the
Nothing
ship
but
are in the
your
botany area.
fists.
I need to just carry a potted plant on me.
You could just punch him.
Or a packet of seeds.
Yeah.
What's your brawl?
I don't believe I have brawl.
Did you ever read any
Base
of
is
the
25 then.
Yeah.
Sam?
You have a 25% chance to punch him in the face.
Or
A
attack
lot
him
of
or
it.
something.
I read the
Yeah, I'd
first.
rather tackle. I
yeah,
think.
Ivy.
Okay.
Okay, she's going to try to tackle. Independent.
Roll brawl.
You're going up against a 14-year-old
No!
child.
Holy shit!
What'd you roll?
It was 72.
72 of
25.
25.
She's going up against a 14-year-old child with an 80 dex score and a very high dodge.
Yeah, she's not strong at all.
Yeah, you go to tackle and he just steps to the side and you go right past.
Ow.
He looks at you and seems hesitant. I don't have a lot of choice. Or any choice, really.
Why? Who sent you here?
Krator.
And what are you supposed to do here?
The ship is imperfect. It needs to be made perfect.
How are you to make it perfect?
People aren't perfect. They need to be made perfect.
Blast.
But how?
They need to be remade.
Just based on the way he's talking and acting, can I determine if Krator is directly controlling him right now? Or if it's just like
Roll me
this is just like
psychology.
a bread in like a bread input.
Roll me.
No.
And where's the real card?
49 of
Oh.
20.
Dead. They killed him, pulled his brain out, and put in this programming.
Who killed him?
Krator was going to kill him, but for some strange reason he snapped his own neck before the Ethivore could consume him.
Alright.
Oh boy.
So he's back
Snapped
in the wood.
his own. That's impressive.
So he's back in the
It's
wood.
very impressive, but yes, that's what she
Wait.
needed to
Oh,
know.
so
that
he,
he
yeah,
was.
okay,
Yeah.
so he left
He
it
killed
out.
he killed himself,
No,
so he went back to the
he
wood.
would Go back.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
wanted to make sure it wasn't an
Because
Ethivore
Snapping
that
your
had
own
killed
neck
him.
isn't a thing. Is it?
You
Yes.
can dive into a pool of inertia blasting stuff and rocket yourself into a wall neck first.
Oh, okay.
No, he didn't just reach up and snap his neck. He was like, this stuff is bad. I'm gonna jump into it and environmental hazard myself.
Yeah.
Cool.
The architects killed him.
Yes. He rolled an acrobatics check to land as poorly as possible.
He has a very good acrobatics check, I'm
That's
sure.
pretty
Okay.
If he fails, he just happens to land on his feet.
Curse me in my preternatural grace.
Cat-like.
Real card is dead. What is you're here doing bad things? What is stopping me from just murdering you?
I don't know.
Can you create a portal and carry him to the planet and leave him there?
There are problems with that. Could I think of a, just from what I've studied thus far, understanding that it's not a lot, but still. He's been programmed. He admitted as much.
Yeah.
Do I think our psychologist could deprogram him?
Just be like,
Based on what he said, he's not a person. He's literally a puppet.
Wasn't there a Joker that did that?
I think there was a Joker that did that.
And roll me a cult.
Yeah. Gallier is still wanting to know if there is a way to... Ooh, 10. Exactly.
So your best guess is
54.
he is
10
a
of 54,
puppet,
which is an extreme
and
success.
whenever the Eldritch being controlling him looks at him, he sends him instructions. He then follows those instructions to the best of his ability. Anything that you do to try to dissuade him from following these instructions will be overridden the next time Krator looks at him.
Well, Krator is currently in a stasis.
That would be your presumption.
Because of the fog.
Yes. So you're not sure if being off the planet would mean that he can't be controlled anymore, but whatever this is isn't card. If he goes long enough without instruction, he'll just mentally collapse and become brain dead.
For the sake of Brian O'Card, that's fine. Like, I'd rather have I would rather have Brian have to deal with his brain dead child than have to explain that I killed his son, his clone kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Galadir is practical. I think.
Yeah,
No, I mean it does make sense though.
it's a whole lot easier than your son stowed away and then committed suicide so he wouldn't be killed by a monstrous being beyond your imagination, and was then essentially reanimated / cloned in a vat of goo with a puppet brain.
So, Krator can't see you here, can he?
I need to make people perfect.
Krator, I'm going to see if I can convince him that Krator has no control over him here.
You have no power here.
So long as you are away from the planet and under the protection of other beings, Krator has no control over you. He cannot see you where you're at. You are free of him for the moment.
Krator's servant will.
Who else is Krator's servant?
Krator's servant will
Who?
guide me.
Who is
Krator's servant will guide me.
Who else is Krator's servant?
Krator's servant will guide me.
Guardian?
Krator's servant will guide me.
Am I getting anything other than pre-programmed responses now?
Again, you imagine that intentionally he was not programmed with the knowledge of who it was, merely that he would receive it in a way that he doesn't know how it will be.
You just capture him
And
and
like,
let him take care of stuff. I mean,
Hey, can you make him brain dead?
okay, I'm going to try to slam him into the wall so hard he goes unconscious
Sure.
with
That's
magic.
that's not how that works outside of movies.
Good thing
No.
we're in a Call of Cthulhu game and not real life, then, isn't it? Where when you hit 0, you are
Guys,
unconscious
she
and
scared
incapacitated with a major weapon, rather
Alright,
than dead.
sure,
Just-
roll
just
me,
knock him
how
out.
much are you blasting?
4 points, so 2 points of mana and 2 health.
Yeah, but he needs to know that his son's dead,
Okay.
rather than just vanishing. Well, I don't. It makes more sense. Like if
I'm
he's
not-
like,
I'm
my
not-
son's dead, so that's why he's not here. That sounds horrible.
I'm not making the decision right now. So.
Okay.
Unless this just kills him straight out, in which case we're gonna have to clean up.
In which case, yeah, whatever. Life goes on.
Alright, so that's...
Because it wouldn't be you doing it, because you're actually in quarantine, so somebody else killed him.
That's a really
Yes!
good...
Yes, we're in quarantine. We have an alibi.
That's a really good point, actually.
Suddenly, Sandra's standing over him with a rock.
Actually, no. I'm gonna try to kill him. Because if I kill him with the spell, there's no way to identify what killed him.
Right.
That was actually fairly consistent rolls. So 53 force or strength.
Okay.
So he has to roll a con check
Mm-hmm.
versus the strength, which is 53. So, or sorry, size, not con, size.
Yes, make a size check, which he's a 4'10", 14-year-old.
So his size is small.
Size is pretty small, and you're gonna roll your strength against the strength you did there, right?
Yeah.
Which is
36.
cool. You certainly do chuck him into a wall.
Now we see what happens. Because it was empowered.
And see if he melts into a pile of goo or simply becomes a corpse.
Card's real good at breaking his neck by getting thrown into walls.
He's consistent
Too
with
soon,
himself.
man.
Oops.
Congratulations, you have murdered a child.
Sandra's behind you with a rock. Oh. Guess I don't need this anymore.
Probably don't want your fingerprints on that.
Okay, we're taking that rock with us since you touched it.
Oh, right.
Well, I mean, it depends on
I'm
how
going to
coarse it
open
is.
a portal
You're not
back
gonna
to
get
the
it.
planet from here.
Okay.
Yeah, we can check the
Helmet?
stuff later.
Helmet on. Look. I'm just going to look at the papers he was looking through. Do any of them look like they're part of the journal?
The papers he was looking through,
Yeah.
they look like geological stuff.
Okay. I'm just gonna
So we leave him here?
leave him here. Don't touch anything. Grab anything that you touched.
Just the rock.
Okay, grab it. He'll be found having invaded somebody else's privacy while we were in quarantine, and something happened and he died. By breaking his neck against a wall. His dad will be really upset.
He tripped and hit his head?
Backwards?
We don't have to explain it.
We don't care.
Right, yes, yeah.
We
I know,
weren't
we're not
here.
here. That's wonderful. Okay, this is my first murder. How about you?
In this life, yes.
Right, yes.
Actually,
I
does
don't
Win
often
count?
do this.
I didn't kill Win.
No.
Laura killed Win.
Conspiracy to commit murder.
I killed a pile of bunnies once.
Well, they would be.
Right. I'm opening the portal back to the planet.
Alright, roll me physics.
You better not.
And hope a security team doesn't come in.
69 of 88.
Cool. It takes you like 10 minutes that you do so.
Walk back. Her helmet's on. We have the rock that has her fingerprints on it.
Okay.
Drop the rock.
Drop it. Open the portal back
You're a
to...
botanist. Are you not wearing gloves? Like, that's part of your uniform,
whatever.
wouldn't it be?
Yeah, but she was in quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just part of your
Yeah,
uniform.
but
Whatever.
no. But she's not going to wear it for like daily walking
Yeah, she
around.
doesn't
Well,
just
I mean,
normally
if she-
wear
Also,
gloves.
fingerprints not going to show up on depending on the surface
Yeah,
of
let's.
the rock.
But you know what?
Et cetera,
We're
et
not
cetera.
taking those
There's
chances.
no reason to leave
Right.
it there.
Exactly. Whatever.
And then portal back to the place that they know we're coming back at, so hopefully they'll have it blocked off from view if anybody's looking in it. People are, right now, Duncan is partying with folks, so it doesn't really matter.
All right. Well, that
I'm
took you
trying
a
to make
while.
sure everything's staying within
So
reasonable
we're
levels.
gonna figure out what happened while you were gone next time.
Oh boy.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Farewell.
Goodbye.
Happy holidays.
Bye.